Alrighty, you guys. Well, it's time for the Love is Blind France reunion recap and review. Now, I'm taking a look at the crowd. I'm going to see. We got a calm reunion on the... Oh, is that who I think it is? That's Tatiana's mom. Oh, my gosh. Duck for cover. Oh, my gosh. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real recap and review. And yes, that's right. It's time to talk about the Love is Blind France reunion for season 1. I'm not trying to be a jerk here, right? But I'm trying to be honest. This was kind of underwhelming, but there were some things to talk about. So go ahead and get subscribed to the channel down below if it's your first time, and like this video. Also, let me know in the comments if you felt the same way I did. A little underwhelming, but some drama that we definitely have to touch on. And again, a lot of spoilers ahead, right, for season 1 of Love is Blind France. If you missed any of my coverage, and yeah, let's say you're watching the episodes right now, you can count on me to have a recap and a review for every single episode this season for Love is Blind France. Find them in the description below or floating around at the top of the screen. And as always, thanks so much for your support. We're so close to 30,000 subscribers, and it's due in large part to you. So thank you, guys. And alrighty, well, I think without further ado, let's begin and dive right in to the Love is Blind France reunion, because, oh mon dieu, there's some drama. Also, that's an Italian thing I'm still doing. It's Mamma Mia. That's the substitute. Yeah. So remember, the married couples at the end of season 1 were Charles and Julie, and then we also had Chloe and Alexandre. I want you to remember that. They were married at the end of season 1. So they bring out every single contestant, and I first noticed Thomas. He's blonde, or Thomas. Is that how you say it in French? He's blonde, and I'm thinking like, alrighty, what happened here anyway? The stage design and the way that this is shot is beautiful. Okay, so while the overall reunion was a little underwhelming, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. This stage looked great. I mean, the actual cinematography here, I'm thinking like Love is Blind US, please take notes on how to film a reunion because it looked cinematic. But our hosts begin with Charles and Julie, and we get a montage of their moments together. We get a montage, of course, all reunion long of the different moments that these couples had together, and I fast forwarded through it because yes, of course, we've seen it, we've talked about it, I've lived it. I don't need to see it again. But Charles seems a little weird. Like the minute they went to him, I thought, what is up with him? His body language is off, and I find out exactly why. Apparently, Julie reveals that she moved in with Charles after the wedding, but unfortunately, it wasn't, well, a match made in heaven. Charles asked Julie to leave the home that they were living in a month after their wedding. A month? 4 whole weeks. You got 4 weeks of being married, and Charles is like, actually, nah, leave. Charles is for the streets. What in the world is that? Apparently, Charles said he needed his space. So why did you get married? Julie then said that this was, unfortunately, the beginning of their breakup phase. And of course, if she's being asked to leave, he's not going to change his mind. He said, hey, can you leave? And she's probably thinking, oh, you want me to leave? I'm going to leave literally and figuratively. This marriage is done. And Charles says, yep, it's true. That was the beginning of our breakup phase. And Charles said that he needed a fresh start. Brother, the cake at your wedding is probably still edible after 4 weeks. It's probably not, but you get my drift. It's still fresh. What do you want a fresher start? Then why did you say yes? But it gets even deeper. Julie said apparently Charles wrote to a girl 4 days after their wedding. 4 days? 4 days after the wedding, Charles is already DMing another woman. Trash. Oh, how do you even say trash in French? I'm going to find it. Charles apparently then iced out Julie, and of course that's not very nice. But Julie said, listen, I kept the ring on my finger, and I'm not going to take it off. Well, she said she didn't take it off. She's probably taking it off after this reunion. They're going backstage, and Charles is probably going to say, hey, give me that ring back right now. And Julie said, you want it? You got it. And he's going to chuck it at his forehead. Charles then says he doesn't regret leaving and said he needs someone more gentle and respecting to their husband. Basically, he's saying he wants a woman who's going to submit to his every need. I just don't think that he ever loved her. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think Charles is just not in love and was not in love with Julie. And it is so sad to hear that he's like, I need someone more gentle and respecting to me. And I also need someone who's going to clean, cook, and bow down to me, is basically what he's saying. Charles, a good woman is not going to do that. But then Charles is trying to swing back at Julie and said that she left without saying anything. But Julie said, no, you're wrong. And I have proof. And here's where I thought they were going to break out the receipts. I want to see them. But no, they did not break out any receipts. And there was no proof on display. But I don't take Julie for a liar. So I do believe Julie more than I believe Charles here. And then the producers cut to Sarah smiling in the crowd. And she's messy, okay? She's messy. You can just hear the rattle, because she's a snake. But Charles definitely was the one to break up with Julie and apparently ended their marriage with a text. He's a coward. I'm sorry. He knew that he didn't have the courage to face Julie and say, you know what? I can't do this anymore. He sent a text message. Imagine that. Just like, hey girl, how you doing? Where you at? I just want to let you know that we're done. That man is just terrible. When Charles was asked, he said, no, I don't think we can work this out. And Julie said, in 8 months afterwards, he sent another text, this time asking for a divorce. So, yeah, Julie, at this point, that ring is gone, of course. But he did say sorry to Julie. It felt a little fake. But she said, hey, Charles is only saying sorry now because he's in front of people. And Charles the whole time is like, you're right. But I still said it. Oh. So let's move on from one messy couple to, well, I guess another messy couple. And that's Kim and Thomas. All intents and purposes, Kim and Thomas are not like the messiest couple that we could have moved on to. It could have been Cynthia and Jonathan or Tatiana and Yannick. But Kim and Thomas said, well, hey, of course, we're just friends. Kim says her mom and sister still ask about Thomas. And Thomas says, hey, what the internet is saying about Kim is not true. Thomas said, Kim is not snooty. And Thomas, look, we love you, man, but that's not what Kim displayed in the show. Just saying. And then there was a moment, of course, where they had Stormy in the crowd, and they held up Stormy like Simba. And I'm just like, they love this darn dog. Both reveal that they're still single, and they ask Kim about Clement, and, well, he's in the crowd. Apparently, they dated outside of Love is Blind, and Kim said very kindly that he ain't, and I'm not going to say that word, but he is not up to her standards, basically. It's just like, she's like, he seems intelligent, but I just can't do it. But Clement revealed that after the show, he's getting a lot of DMs. Okay, buddy. All right. Yes, I hear you. We're going to move on now to Tatiana and Yannick, okay? I know that's probably why you showed up, right? But Tatiana and Yannick, I mean, ooh. You know that Taylor Swift song? Now we got bad blood. Yeah, there's a lot of bad blood between those two. Gosh, I'm never going to sing it again. But Yannick doesn't look thrilled. And Tatiana, on the other hand, is like, oh, I feel good. Tatiana, she said that she's fine and she's doing okay. And Yannick is like, I guess I'm doing okay. Oh boy. Tatiana reveals that she felt overwhelmed with Yannick because she had to live 3 lives. What? I mean, yeah, she said she has to be an entrepreneur, a mom, and then also be a fiance to Yannick. I mean, that is literally life. Tatiana said that she didn't feel heard by Yannick, and that was one of the biggest issues. And I'm going to be honest. She could say that, but I also feel like the entire conversation she wasn't listening to Yannick because when, well, Yannick was trying to speak, well, Tatiana cut him off again. Brother, there's a lot of cutting off, Tatiana. Like I said it too in my recap and review, they got bad communication, but boy, is it still bad. And then out of nowhere, like right out of left field or the left side of the pitch, if we're, being all French, Tatiana said she loved having fun with Gallien in the pods. Why would you even say that? Gallien's in the crowd, but she knows what she's doing. Then they move on to Tatiana's mom, who's in the crowd. And yes, Tatiana's mom looks like she's ready to shoot lasers out of her eyes to Yannick. It is insane. If she could be on that stage, she probably would. Yannick reveals that he said he felt he did his best to listen to her every single need. And this is, of course, Tatiana's every need. But then Cynthia decided to insert herself somehow, and she gave a huge side-eye glance to Yannick and then looked at Tatiana and was like, this guy's crazy. But like Cynthia and Tatiana, they're a part of that little club, right? Of like Kim and Sarah and all them, the minions. And then would you believe it? Tatiana cuts Yannick off again as he's explaining. I mean, golly. This whole time I'm thinking, Tatiana, you're saying I don't feel heard and you're not doing any listening. So like, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. But I do agree after this, like there's a moment within the segment where Tatiana, she says Yannick was wrong for wanting to sleep in separate flats when they got into an argument, because that's not what married couples do. And you know what? Listen, a broken clock is right twice a day. And in this case, Tatiana was right. So then the host asked Tatiana's mom about her daughter and Yannick's relationship. Apparently, she was actually really happy before the meeting with Yannick. It was around that time, remember, where Tatiana got stood up at the candle making thing? Or was it perfume? It was perfume making, right? One of the two. But yeah, that was when Tatiana spilled the beans to her mother and said, this guy is a jerk. And then Tatiana's mom was like, all right, honey, let me deal with him. And deal with him she did. Yannick said that meeting Tatiana's mom surprised him a bit, but she reminds him of his mother, so he wasn't entirely unprepared. But still, I do find Tatiana's mom to be a little disrespectful in that conversation. And then Tatiana said, listen, for all intents and purposes, I just am not ready for a relationship right now. And we're like, all right, we're already on to the questions about if they're single or not. And Tatiana said, yes, I'm still single. And Yannick didn't say anything. So like, I don't know, is Yannick still single, guys? Do some internet digging for me. But in my opinion, Yannick did come very well prepared for the conversation. And hey, he didn't meet Tatiana's intensity, but he also got his point across pretty well. So then the host said, we got to keep being messy. We're going to bring Gallien to the stage. Gallien gets up there, walks smiling like crazy until they said, hey, remember when you broke the rules of the engagement? And he's like, oh, darn it, I got to explain myself. Remember, Gallien got kicked off the show because he was fraternizing with another woman outside of the pods, which is against the rules of the show. So Gallien said, hey, I broke the rules only because in my mind I made up I was going to leave the experiment. That is an excuse if I've ever heard one. Bro, you just could not go through with the experiment and you didn't want to leave. So instead you thought maybe I can do like 2 for 1. That's terrible. So then they end that segment with Gallien and they said, alrighty, let's bring another contestant to the stage. We got Slithering Snake Sarah. And she said, I feel great since Love is Blind. I'm sure you do, honey. But she said that she has a few regrets for what she said about Julie and the way she handled herself in the pods. But then she followed it up and the subtitle said, but I wasn't mean. Sarah, what you did is the definition of mean girl. What are you talking about? And then Kim somehow gets in the conversation and apologizes to Charles for the conversation she had with him on the rooftop in Morocco when she was grilling him in defense of Sarah. And then Sabrina's like, oh, I want to get in on this conversation. I'm a part of the Mean Girls Club too. And Sabrina said she regrets making fun of Charles' looks, and also she regrets questioning Julie's intentions. But Julie this whole time as Sabrina's talking is looking straight ahead like this. Not even this. This is Sabrina over here. And she doesn't even care. She's just staring straight ahead like, I'm going to pop off on this girl right now. That's essentially what I think she was thinking. Maybe that was just me. Now to Cynthia and Jonathan. Interesting transition here. And I say interesting transition because one of the hosts, Luthna, she said, and I quote, your story was intense as it was short. Listen, I don't care what anyone says. She made that pun on purpose. You're calling Jonathan short. You know the height issues. You remember them in season 1. But Cynthia and Jonathan revealed that they tried to get back together. However, Cynthia said, listen, we're not aligned and I'm putting in way too much work. And Jonathan his heart's not in it. And Jonathan agrees, which is like the first of many times he agrees with Cynthia's side of the story. I'm not going to lie, though. At this point, I thought that it was a very boring moment in the reunion. Their conversations were just kind of whatever because Cynthia's emotional about everything, and then Jonathan's lacking the emotion and saying, I agree. But then they throw us a curveball. Oh, before that, I also want to make a comment. Jonathan's pants are short. We're going to talk about short things. His pants are way too short. I mean, I've seen some short dress pants before, but they're really just like shorts disguised as pants. Just saying. All right. Side note over. Jonathan said, of course, that, maybe I did stay in this a little bit longer than I should have. And then I thought, wait a second, that's new information. Cynthia was upset and said, well, the minute you spent the first night together with me and you felt something was off, why didn't you leave? And Jonathan did what he always does in this moment. He said, I agree. I should have left. So now it gets me thinking, like, Jonathan probably knew during the reveal, right, that he did not want to be with this woman, but he still decided to propose to Cynthia. Interesting. And then Jonathan said, I got one more curveball for y'all. I'm in a relationship with a contestant from the show, Alice. Oh, wow. Well, Jonathan and Alice seem happy, even though their body language seemed off at first, but they seem like kind of weird. Like they're standoffish, but I can tell they probably hang out really well together outside of the whole TV and the cameras and stuff. So yeah, good for them. Yeah, I guess good for them, yeah. And I just know this whole time Cynthia's upset because Jonathan ends the conversation with, I have every hope of starting a family with Alice. Dang, Cynthia, I'm sorry. Alrighty, so let's move on now to our second married couple from season 1, Chloe and Alexandre. Are they still together? What do you think? Even though they said they met their families together after the wedding and it went very well, Chloe said, hey, we're technically still married, but we're separated. Well, you all were correct in the comments. You said, I don't think anyone stays married if they get married. And I was like, oh, I never thought. I just assumed one of the two would, but none of them did. All of them are just broken up. Everybody's broken up. It's like the reverse Super Smash. Like, everybody's here. Everybody's broken up. Mamma mia. Chloe said Alexandre still had to work on himself and she couldn't force him to love her. And then Alexandre said, I just didn't develop deeper feelings for her after the wedding. And they asked him the golden question, why did you say yes at the altar? And he said he just wanted to give it a chance. He felt he could do something with this. I could just give it a shot. Boy, bye. Are you serious right now? If you're not 110% at the altar, you don't say yes. You probably don't get there. But it's Love is Blind. They had to do it for TV, They apparently stay in touch, but they just don't see each other in person. And while Chloe said, hey, I still have feelings for him, she basically said, this thing is never going to work. So that's another X, and it doesn't mark the spot. So goodbye that couple. Let's move on to another couple that made it to the altar, but one of them said no, and that's Sabrina and Van-My. Well, Van-My said, while I loved her and thought she was so beautiful and it was so great, our dinner was amazing, he said when he got to the altar, it was a wake-up call. It's like he was woken up from a trance, and that's when he felt doubt. But he wasn't the only one that was doubting their relationship. I mean, Sabrina did say that Van-My wasn't always capable to lead in the relationship and reciprocate feelings. So, of course, this is probably why Sabrina took it so well, because she's thinking, yeah, this wasn't going to work anyway. Thank goodness you said no. Van-My did take some accountability here, and he said, hey, I didn't always compliment her or be as affectionate as I could have. They apparently also tried afterwards to date, but there was no connection. I can only imagine when something like this, Sabrina's like, you are still so handsome, and Van-My's like, waiter? So apparently they're still friends, but Sabrina reveals that she's in a relationship. Or did I mishear that? Pretty sure Sabrina said she's in a relationship, but Van-My said, I'm single. I'm going to focus on my chiropractic stuff. So if you need a good back cracking, you come see me. But yeah, that's about it for those two. Dang, seriously, this season was like a wash. If you wanted one married couple, you got zero. And that is where the hour-long reunion ends. And I'm telling you guys, it's not that it was a terrible reunion. It's that it was a terrible reunion. I couldn't even fake it. I'm an optimist. Y'all know me by now. I'm an optimist with these reality TV shows. But this was an incredibly underwhelming reunion. And that's not to be unexpected, though, because the actual season was pretty straightforward. Did I like how this season overall looked in terms of the aesthetic, technicalities? Yes, I did. Do I actually like how they got through the pots pretty quickly? Oh, yeah, they cut through a lot of filler, and I like that, actually. But this feels like a failure almost. Not one couple stayed married. I mean, listen, none of the married couples I think were good for each other, but like, dang, not one? Oh, goodness, that really stinks. And here we thought, Charles and Julie, number one couple, they got married, amazing. But boy, did that end terribly. So everyone fell flat on their face, except for Cynthia, because she's so tall, so she's probably okay up there. The air is different there. But everyone else, my goodness, it was just a failure. Will they do a season 2 of Love is Blind? I don't know. Would I watch it? Absolutely. But here's my thinking. They got to cast a little bit better, because none of these people were ready for a relationship, clearly. And of course, during the casting process, they can lie. But wow, here I was thinking, man, this might be a little different, and we get like 2 or 3 married couples. But we got a fat Cheerio, guys. We got 0. No married couples this season for Love is Blind France. But hey, that is all she wrote for this season, and I'm so glad we got to take this journey together. But hey, if you love Love is Blind like me, it's not over. We got Love is Blind US to cover this week. We got my week 2 recap and review dropping Wednesday morning. And thank you, Netflix, for giving me those episodes early so I could watch it for a review. So I'm super pumped that I'm going to get everything out on time. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Tap on that bell so you don't miss out, y'all. And get loud in the comments below. And let me know what you think of Love is Blind France. How would you rate it? Are we rating it an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F? Don't do F. It's not that bad. Trust me. It's really not that bad. Alrighty, y'all. Well, again, there you have it. That's my real recap and review of Love is Blind France's reunion. I had a lot of fun doing the season with you guys, but more Love is Blind is on the way. So stay tuned. Alrighty, y'all. Well, again, thanks so much for watching. God bless you guys, and I'll catch you at the next screening. Oh, she's back. Tatiana's mom is back. Oh, I'm running.